What's up, Madridistas? This is Kiyan Subani. It is Friday, March 18th, which means it's 2 days before El Clasico. So what you're about to listen to is kind of a Clasico special. It's a two-parter. First part you'll hear is from Lucas Navarrete and I on Thursday's Managing Madrid Mailbag. We discuss just the fact that Real Madrid haven't really given Barcelona a good beatdown like we've been hoping for in the last few years, really since I was a kid, actually, if we go all the way back. There's been a couple where we've dominated, but we've just been aching for a thumping. So we discussed that part of it. And then part two, Diego and I kind of talk about like Dest and the fact that he's not going to play on Sunday, what that means, the wing-back matchup, all that stuff. So enjoy today's clip. Part two is a video, so if you're interested in seeing us talk face-to-face on Zoom, you can tune into that part when we hit part two. But enjoy the podcast regardless. Enjoy the Clasico this weekend. Hope a W comes your way. And if you want to follow me behind the scenes, go to my Instagram, instagram.com/KiyanSo. So that's at KiyanSo, KIYANSO. I'll be active. I'll be at the stadium. You can see some of the behind the scenes. Follow me there on my stories. And as always, become a patron because you get a ton of content. On Thursday's mailbag, we had a huge discussion, by the way, on how Mbappe and Vinicius can coexist, who's going to play on the right wing, how that synergy will work. Will it be a problem at all, the fact that they both have their best play on the left? How will that work? We had a big discussion on that. So that's over on patreon.com/Managing Madrid. Join the Real Madrid army and see you inside. Let's come back to Clasico. Way Pairing says, hey guys, excellent job as always. Looking forward to the next best podcast ever. Interestingly, the next Clasico is one of the least meaningful in terms of results. Reminds me a lot of the 2007-2008 season with Schuster, but still exciting enough as both teams are in form. Random question here, but when I think about the possible outcome, I can see that it will go either way. We could even lose badly, but I can't picture us winning by a big margin. Looking back the past 20 years since I supported Real Madrid, there have only been 2 Clásicos where we won by more than 2 goals. Is that true?
I didn't check, but
Okay.
I'm guessing that Way checked his sources before submitting the question. We'll trust him, I guess.
Okay, more than 2 goals. Okay, because in my head I was thinking of a lot of 2-goal victories, but
more than 2 goals. So
There's
3
the
or
Pasillo,
more. Yeah,
4-1. Anyways, let's just go back to the question. So, whereas Barca have 9 of those in the same period. Why do you think this is the case? Since 2002, we conceded around 74 goals in La Liga Clásicos, but only scored around 55. Certainly, Barca had one of their strongest teams ever during the period, but our gap is never that wide. Even at Cristiano Ronaldo's peak, we Madridistas never got to enjoy the payback for the multiple manitas or thumpings we suffered. Anyways, good luck, everyone, and hope we have an exciting Clasico and hopefully a big win for us. It's more of a discussion than a question, but...
Mm-hmm. Well, I just think that the main reason for this is that Real Madrid's players and Real Madrid as a club and as an institution don't hate Barcelona as much as Barcelona hate Real Madrid. And I've noticed this so that when Real Madrid sometimes go up, say 2-0 against Barcelona in El Clasico, they take the foot off the gas. And that never happens when Barcelona are up in the score. They go for more and they try to tear us apart, absolutely. So, and I can only think of that particular reason and that particular explanation and point that maybe Real Madrid players and Real Madrid as an institution don't focus that much on the rivalry against Barcelona than they do. It's just a feeling I have. It's obviously not something that we can prove or check with the statistics and numbers, but it seems to me that they're more Real Madrid are more quote unquote complacent when they have a solid lead against Barcelona than they are. They tend to try to humiliate and humble Real Madrid whenever they have the chance, and that doesn't seem to be the case whenever Real Madrid have the upper hand.
I think that's all true. I know it sounds like an intangible thing, like why they hate us more. Well, that is undoubtedly true, by the way. They do hate us more than we hate them.
Yeah, I agree.
We don't have we don't tell our kids in Castilla and Juvenil A and B and all this stuff to to actively hate Barcelona the way they do in their youth teams.
Mm-hmm.
So that's true. But also, I think this question, it's one that I've had a conversation about many times in person at these live podcast tours we do. Somehow this discussion actually comes up after the podcast when we're just talking, we're having drinks and mingling after the podcast ends. The yearning from Madridistas around the world to just beat the shit out of them is so strong, because there are so many times where we have there's a huge gap between the quality of our two teams, and we just come away with just a little cute win. And when we could have gone for 3 or 4 or 5. Now sometimes we do try, and we just there's just bad luck where we miss chances, or there's offsides or whatever. So it's not like we don't try, but there is definitely that yearning, we want to just go out and humiliate them. There was a period, how many times we beaten them in a row now? It's 5, right?
Yeah, I think so.
But among those 5, they've all been good wins, but we just want one absolute thumping in there. And Way says 2002 I think was the first time, that era. I'll even go back to the 2000, that same Champions League run. Actually, we played them twice in the Champions League, and the gulf in class between us two in those semifinals was clear. We were such the better team, but we made it so difficult on ourselves. We won the first leg in the Camp Nou, and we drew the second leg, and we advanced. We got to the final, and then we won the Champions League. It was fine, but it just, if you look at the Barca squad and you look at our squad in that moment, it shouldn't have been as close as it was.
Mm-hmm.
And and even in those eras, it's I just want a Bayern 8-2 kind of thing. That's what I really want. It hasn't happened since the 90s. The Pasillo almost doesn't count because it was almost like a friendly. But
right.
Then last time we really beat them like that was 95.
Yeah. Is it maybe fair and accurate to explain the situation and this lack of interest in Real Madrid humiliating Barcelona? To explain it by taking a look at, the fact that they tend to have more canteranos playing than Real Madrid. Maybe that's the main reason why. Real Madrid, right now on the field, the only Real Madrid canterano would probably Carvajal. We saw what Reguilón did in a Clasico 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
And maybe having, the more players, 4 or 5 players like Carvajal on the squad, would help in this regard. Maybe not in the competitive side of things, considering that the team just don't have as many quality canteranos as they have foreign players. But that's the only reason I can think of. The only potential explanations I can think of. It comes to explain why Real Madrid don't go for these kind of victories against Barcelona, why they tend to take the foot of the gas.
I think that's a valid point, but you know what would even work better than a Canterano? Just Mbappe flying past Piqué on a counterattack.
Yeah, that's an automatic hat trick, yeah.
So I have a good way we can transition this to Clasico talk, though, because one thing that stood out to me in this game, among many other things, but one thing relevant to this discussion was that I thought Serginho Dest was pretty good. I liked his line breaking. I liked his dribbling. I like what he brings to the table. Good. And he also leaves this game injured. So it's if he can't play on Sunday, and there are other bigger injuries also at play, because Karim Benzema is probably not going to play on Sunday. We know Ferland Mendy is out. But if Dest can't play, I think that's also significant, just in the sense that if Xavi goes with Alves, you have the whole Vinicius kind of looking at that matchup and licking his lips a little bit and saying fellow Brazilian grandpa, I can go at him a little bit. But also, if he goes with Araujo there, Araujo is going to be much better defensively, but he doesn't give you the production offensively that Alves brings in the build-up play. He can make, the crosses that Alves brings to the table. Yeah. So in that sense, if Araujo plays, he's not going to really test our wing back that much, whoever it is, whether it's Nacho or Marcelo. I think it'll be Nacho Faites, but so all of that is interesting to me. Where do you stand on that? Like, and also, do you have any updates on Dest? Do we know if he's going to play Sunday?
No updates at the moment, so I would definitely almost certainly discard him for the game in the Bernabeu, and I would almost certainly as well imagine that Alves will be occupying that spot in the starting 11. I think that based on our necessities, Xavi wanting to come out and impose his style of football, that style of play, control, possession, position, precision. I would expect definitely Dani Alves to play in that position because, like you said, Araujo offensively. That's not to say from set pieces. Obviously, Araujo offensively is a big threat. I mean, he's got what is it now? 3? I want to say maybe even 4, 3 or 4 goals this season so far. And Dani Alves brings a completely different profile naturally. So again, I think he's more suited with what Xavi is expecting from his team. I think that given Alves' experience in the Bernabeu, where he's won, 7 of the 12 games that he's played, the fact that he's not registered to play in the Europa League, he said, jokingly obviously, but he said he's been on salads and water since a week, working his way. He's expecting to play. And he's looking very much forward to play. And it's a big ask to compete against a very informed and young Vinicius, naturally. Vinny, as we saw in the Supercopa, right, likes those battles and is not afraid to go take them head on and come out the winning end. But I would imagine he still would want to start with Alves, knowing, of course, that we still also have Mingueza in that spot. And why not? No, I mean...
I'll sign up for that. Let's put Mingueza in there. Mingueza it is. I would like to see that as a Madridista.
You would.
As you're talking...
gives you no concern. Alves gives you no concern.
Alves, I think, can hurt us with his passing. But also... I mean, look, just talking out loud, don't you feel like you can already see how this is going to go? I just feel like as we're talking, I can already, it's like we're projecting the game. I can see it in front of me right now. And it's like Barca are going to just try to pass and find openings, and Real Madrid are going to soak that up, and Vinicius is going to be literally waiting at the halfway line. Give me the ball. And Alves is going to be completely out of position. And it's going to be kind of like Mbappe versus Carvajal vibes. That's kind of how I see it.